presentation of the National Thoroughbred Racing Association and ESPN.
(1993), a decade ago, the last time that the World Thoroughbred Championships came to the Oaktree meeting at Santa Anita.
Here is our king to win it in an absolute shocker. He's 99 to 1, and it will be Lure once again in the mile. Kodashan lengthening his stride, and Kodashan is the victor.
In less than 3 weeks, the World Thoroughbred Championships return to Oaktree. What surprises await at this 20th edition of Thoroughbred Racing's greatest day? Today, we're at the site of the championships for Oaktree's final round of prep races. Yankee Gentleman headlines the sprinters in the ancient title, while Special Ring goes for the Oaktree Breeders' Cup Mile on the turf. Santa Anita is known as the Great Race Place. Find out why next on ESPN2.
To the World Thoroughbred Championships. Powered by Dodge.
It's the Oaktree meeting at Santa Anita, always a key piece to the World Thoroughbred Championship puzzle. This year, it's Roll Expands, playing that of host. This is about the only place where you can actually see Seabiscuit, statue of his likeness in the paddock, and of course for book fans and movie fans, this is where he won the big cap. And if you haven't seen the movie, I guess I just ruined things for you. It's a busy afternoon of racing, 2 live here from Oaktree. It's all about the girls at Keenland and the rich and very influential Arc de Triomphe from Paris. With me is Randy Moss. And Randy, you know, this time of year, we're 20 days away from the Breeders' Cup World Thoroughbred Championships. The news surrounding the racing's biggest day changing daily, if not hourly.
Just this week, Breeders' Cup Classic news. Perfect Drift probably in. Empire Maker officially retired. And on Friday, Horse of the Year frontrunner Mineshaft retired due to minor injuries only 6 days after this win in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. The announcement understandably greeted with skepticism by some because of the earlier implications that Mineshaft might skip the Classic because he had nothing left to prove. This morning, Mineshaft's trainer Neil Howard showed the x-rays of his chipped ankle to the Daily Racing Form to try to sort of soothe some of those skepticisms. Some horses run and run well with injuries like Mineshaft's, but as Farish and Howard point out, he's worth tens of millions of dollars, and they just don't want to take the chance.
We'll also have some toys today. We'll have a virtual finish line as well as some virtual distance markers, kind of like the first down marker that you see a lot in football games now. You can see it kind of there left of the screen. Keep in mind, like the football players, the horses can't see it. It won't resemble a steeplechase as they're heading down the stretch. Well, the first race for us today is the Arc de Triomphe, taking place earlier today in Paris. And let's take a look at our World Thoroughbred rankings in the John Deere Turf Division. Headlining that race today, Dalakani and High Chaparral.
2 of the greatest turf horses in the world, and of course those are the 2 horses that we're primarily going to focus on as we take a look at the field for the Arc, which was at 1.25 miles at Longchamp. High Chaparral beaten only twice in his career, and of course he is the defending Breeders' Cup Turf champion, 3rd in this race last year. Dalakani beaten only once in his life, and that was earlier this year in the Irish Derby, scratch number 12 on Tennessee.
All right, what happened today? Let's find out. We pick it up as they head toward home.
They're into the full straight. Dearborn gives way. Black Sam Bellamy leading. Mubchaka traveling particularly well up on the outside. First Charter is next. Vinnie Rowe and Bolin Eric on the outside. High Chaparral just a length or so off the leaders. Behind him is Joy M. Dalakani making progress the outside. Chris Kins well beat. Dajin getting into it. Ange Gabriel and Policymaker coming next as Mubchaka led him at the run down the straight. High Chaparral is struggling on the inside. Black Sam Bellamy is still there. Then Bolin Eric. Then comes Vinnie Rowe. Dalakani produced now with his challenge on the outside, but Mubchaka is the leader. Dalakani is trying to reel him in. He's into second place. They head inside the final 200 meters now. And Dalakani has swept through on the outside. He's taking it up from Mubchaka there. Miles clear of the others. Dalakani in front. Mubchaka's backing away at him. But it's got to be Dalakani. His colour is out with Christophe Soumia. Mubchaka was second from High Chaparral, Dorian, Vinnie Rowe, Black Sam Bellamy, Dajin, Bolin Eric, Ange Gabriel, then Policymaker. Chris hasn't even.
Dalakani, ridden by 22-year-old Belgian sensation Christophe Simeon. As Randy mentioned, his only loss, the Irish Derby. He was unbeaten 6 for 6 coming into the Irish Derby. Also has the French Derby on his resume. High Chaparral finishes third. Now, what are the chances we're going to see Dalakani and High Chaparral right here for the World Thoroughbred Championship?
Dalakani has been ruled out of the John Deere Breeders' Cup Turf. Aiden O'Brien in his post-race quote said there is still a chance that High Chaparral will be back here at Oaktree to defend his title, depending on how he comes out of that race.
Let's take a look at the American contenders, or one of them, the dysfunctional Storming Home. Maybe the best shot for the American horses in winning that turf.
This was in the Arlington Million, where he dumped and injured Gary Stevens. Suleimani placed first on the outside by disqualification. Suleimani just last week came back to win the Turf Classic at Belmont Park, and Gary Stevens got back on Storming Home last weekend in the Clement Hirsch as he runs down, and he's on the outside there running down Johar in the final strides. He was a consummate professional in this race, so much so that watch Gary Stevens take his left hand off the reins after the race to celebrate.
Lots of courage, a little hair of that dog that bit you. Earlier, Jay Pribman had a chance to talk with Gary Stevens.
Gary, this is the time of year when you're trying to line up Breeders' Cup mounts, as many as possible. But a couple of months ago, we weren't even sure if you were going to make it back in time after that horrible accident at Arlington Park with Storming Home. But you came back last weekend and won with him. What was it like trying to just get back on that horse after what had happened? Is there any sort of apprehension after an incident like that?
No, not really. I've been on him several times in the mornings prior to him doing that in the afternoon. And there was an incident that happened towards the finish with a photographer, and I just took it as a one-off type of occasion. And I'm not afraid of the horse. And obviously, if I had any apprehension about getting on him, then I wouldn't have taken the mount on him.
When an incident like that happens and you have to come back from something like that, is it more a matter of just getting fit again as opposed to just steeling yourself to get back on a horse who did something like that?
Yeah, it was difficult to stay fit because with the history of my knees, I can't do a lot of road work as far as running or anything. And I had a hole in my side from a chest tube from the collapsed lung, so I couldn't swim. And normally that's what I do to stay fit when I'm off, is a lot of swimming, and couldn't do that. So best thing for me to do was to get back in the saddle. I did it a little quicker than I would have liked, and probably quicker than what was good for my body. But I'm back now. I'm about 95%, and by Breeders' Cup time, I'll be 100%.
And you've already got a nice Breeders' Cup mount lined up with Storming Home today, trying to find a mount for the sprint, hopefully with Savada, whose colors you're wearing right now. Let's talk about this horse. You haven't ridden him since last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile. It wasn't the best performance of his career. How has he improved since then? What has Patrick Biancone told you about this colt coming into the race today?
Well, he's got a mind of his own. Patrick told me he's the kind of horse he likes to be left alone. He doesn't think he's got the type of speed to be in front here. He said just make him happy. He said when he's walking, he decides what speed he wants to walk. If it's a fast walk, he's dragging the groom, and that's pretty much how I'm going to ride him. I'm going to try and make him happy, and he'll pick it up a little bit coming into the stretch, I'm sure, and hopefully put in a good performance. Pat said that he's doing really well right now, so we'll look for a big race from him.
Excellent. Good luck today with Savada. That's Gary Stevens. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Jay. The Oaktree meeting in full swing. 2 live races coming up, plus action from Keenland. Will return in just a moment.
The road to the World Thoroughbred Championships. Powered by Dodge. This ESPN2 presentation of the Ancient Title Breeders' Cup is brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. By Citgo, we know you. By Budweiser, the best things in life are the things that are true. Budweiser. By Overbrook Farm. By Long John Silver's, boatloads of seafood are back. By Windstar Farm, where the winning begins.
Glad you're with us on a gorgeous Southern California Sunday afternoon. If you're online, go to ESPN.com, click on horse racing. There's a special Breeders' Cup section there. That's the only place online where you can get ESPN's coverage of the Breeders' Cup. And you can sign up for the Pick 6 Challenge presented by Digiturf.com virtual horse racing. Well, we promised you 2 races from Keenland. The first, fillies and mares on the turf. Let's go to Kurt Hoover.
Thanks very much, Jeff. The filly and mare turf division for the Breeders' Cup may be one of the most competitive divisions for this year's Breeders' Cup. Big race run earlier today at Keenland, the Windstar race, $500,000 purse. But before we get to that, let's take a look back at last weekend. First up, New York, Belmont Park. The $750,000 Flower Bowl, a Grade 1 event. Dimitrova, trained by Dermont Weld, ridden a victory by Jerry Bailey, powers home to an impressive victory. The 4-5 favorite Heat Haze ran on third for trainer Bobby Frankel. Across the continent back to California, the yellow ribbon. Patrick Valenzuela and Tate's Creek bull their way through on the inside to win the yellow ribbon. A very good effort by the runner-up, Musical Chimes. She's going to come into your picture right at the end here in the blue silks under Gary Stevens. She finished strong, galloped out very well after a very slow early pace. Now, the WinStar Galaxy, Grade 2, $500,000 purse, a field of 6, going a mile and 3/16. The favorite, Bien Nicole, off at 3-2. She opened up a long early lead under jockey Don Pettinger.
And Bien Nicole leads it by 8 lengths coming past the quarter pole. And Volga is giving chase and has a quarter-mile left to catch Bien Nicole, the pace setter, who still leads it by some 6 lengths coming to the furlong marker. Bien Nicole by 5 lengths back to Volga in second. Wonder again is third. And then Approach and Appassionata Sonata followed by New Economy. Bien Nicole in front running style to make a shambles of the field in the Grade 2 WinStar Galaxy. What a convincing performance. Bien Nicole wins it by some 9 lengths. Approach came home second. New Economy third. The time 1 minute 55 and 4/5 seconds.
Owned by Christine and John Richter, trained by Donnie Von Hemmel, Bien Nicole becomes racing's newest millionaire with her victory in the WinStar Galaxy. Don Pettinger aboard. She's a daughter of Bien, who ran second 10 years ago in the Breeders' Cup Turf right here at Santa Anita. That $2 exact, the 1-2, $36 even, a mile and 3/16 on the turf, 155 and 87 100ths. More from Keenland a bit later on, but right now, back to Jeff and Randy.
Thank you, Kurt Hoover. And by the way, this week's Full Patrol highlights Riboletta. Last February, this 3-week-old filly by Forestry was the first foal produced by Riboletta, champion older female back in 2000. Riboletta won 8 of 17 lifetimes, 7 of them stakes. That included 5 Grade 1s. She earned $1.4 million in her career. The sire, Forestry, no slouch himself. He was trained by Bob Baffert. He won 7 of 11 and bankrolled about $500,000. And the Full Patrol is brought to you by Claiborne Farm. And go to claibornefarm.com to visit all of their stallions. On a pretty warm afternoon, to be honest with you, here in Los Angeles. For our Long John Silver memory, we just rewind back to the 2001 edition of the Ancient Title. And what do Swept Overboard and Michael Jordan have in common? It's the tongue, and he would need a Jordan-esque type performance to get past the always tough Kona Gold.
Swept Overboard coming like a rocket on the outside. Kona Gold swept overboard, flying at him. Kona Gold swept overboard, but Swept Overboard ridden with exuding confidence by Eddie D. And Swept Overboard beats Kona Gold today.
Husey on board the striking gray. Swept Overboard wins the Ancient Title in stakes record fashion, and he knocks off the defending Breeders' Cup Sprint champion, Kona Gold. And today in the paddock, Kona Gold was actually on hand to all set actually to lead the post parade.
Yeah, this is a live shot of the paddock right now. Kona Gold won the Ancient Title in 2000, the year before. He actually ran in the Ancient Title 4 different times. He was retired last year. He's now living in the backyard of his former trainer, Bruce Headley, and you can pardon him if he gets a little fired up at the track today.
Well, the Ancient Title Breeders' Cup handicap at Grade 1 were $200,000, horses 3 and up, a 6-furlong sprint. And let's take a look at these horses with our video post parade. And the one horse will be Yankee Gentleman. And he moved from the East Coast to the West Coast, changed from Bill Mott and Jerry Bailey to John Shareffs and Julie Crone.
2 starts this year, both impressive wins, but he needs a big race today to get into the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Julie won 5 races here yesterday, and she's won 1 already this afternoon.
And the 2-horse, the gorgeous Proud Citizen, 1 win since winning the Coolmore Lexington last year. 12 of his last 13 starts, though, have been in graded company.
And since surgery last year for a fractured shin, he's been out of the money in 5 of his 6 starts. His stock has plummeted.
The 3-horse Zavada, the only 3-year-old in the field. He's earned $226,000 last year as a juvenile for Patrick Biancone.
Patol 8th in his last start in the King's Bishop at Saratoga, but that was at 7 furlongs. They say he's better at 6.
Avanzado, a South American invader, second in the Dubai Golden Shaheen, made his U.S. debut in August of last year.
He also loves Santa Anita. He has early speed. He could set the pace, but he's not a Breeders' Cup nominee, so he probably is not a sprint candidate.
Blues the standard, the 7th straight start in graded company. Started the year winning 4 in a row. 3 of those were right here.
Coming off a dull race, but the next day he had 104-degree fever, so you can excuse him for that one. He was claimed for $50,000 on New Year's Eve, and he's already a 2-time stakes winner since then.
Captain Squire won the FedEx Sprint here on January 25th, posting a 117 buyer. Also made the trip to Dubai for the Golden Shaheen, where he finished 3rd.
And quite a few horses in this race have shown a love for Santa Anita. He'll be ridden by Alex Solis, who's won 2 of the last 3 runnings of this race, Kona Gold, and last year with mare Kalukan Queen.
The horses right now are making their way to the track, and let's take a look at the current odds. Yankee Gentleman right now at even money. Captain Squire at the bottom at 7-2, and a couple of 5-1s in there, including Zavada.
Yeah, even though Yankee Gentleman has never won a graded stakes race, he's never finished on the board in a graded stakes race, he's looked so good in his 2 starts this year, both at Del Mar, that you can see he is rated right now as the top sprinter on the West Coast.
And he will start on the inside post as the horses make their way out to the track. And inside, is that going to be good or bad?
Well, the inside post is traditionally a disadvantage in sprint races, and trainer John Sheriff was just talking about that the other morning. I mean, he's hoping that Julie Crone will be able to get him off the rail, or at least avoid the traffic problems. 2 for 2 this year. He ran the fastest 6 furlongs of the meeting at Del Mar, but he does need a big effort today to get him into Breeders' Cup Sprint contention.
All right, and for more on Yankee Gentleman, let's bring in Jay Pribman.
This horse has had a very interesting couple of weeks since his victory at Del Mar last time out. On September 24th, he was supposed to work 6 furlongs under Julie Crone, and a half-mile into that workout, she pulled the horse up. She just sensed that something wasn't quite right with him. They got him back to the barn, and he was fine. He came back on Monday and worked a brilliant 5 furlongs. I was here. I saw it in person. It was as good a work as I've seen in a long time, and they think that what happened in the previous work is that this horse has learned to relax so much with John Sheriff's in the last month that Julie was just fooled by him. He's really learned to relax. She knew what to expect when he worked on Monday, and he worked tremendously. If he runs back to that work, he's going to take some beating today.
In terms of a lot of these horses in the field are thinking Breeders' Cup World Thoroughbred Championships, but a win today would really help their cause.
Yeah, and when we say that Yankee Gentleman really needs a win to be considered, here's what we're talking about. Now, horses accumulate points all year long for their efforts in graded stakes races, and if more than 14 horses are entered in the sprint, the top 7 point getters will automatically get in the sprint field. You see Blues the Standard is already in. But a horse like Yankee Gentleman right now, he has 0 points. 10 points would be a win today because of the grade 1 ranking of the ancient title. Still wouldn't be enough to get him in, but then he would probably be chosen by the Breeders' Cup Selection Committee since he's coming off a big win. And you see some of the other horses on that list needing a win, including that horse, Zavada.
Yeah, trained by Patrick Biancone. And let's talk about his last start. You throw that one out?
I think you completely throw it out. He was back off the pace, which was probably not the way he wants to run. He wants to be a little closer than he was last time. And he was just flat out dull. I mean, we went back and looked at the video again this morning, and Jerry Bailey, who rode him that day, was pushing him along and was just getting no response at all. It's been the schedule all along to bring him back out here and give him a prep in this race because Biancone wants to run Zavada in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. He thinks he's a perfect fit for that race.
And Gary Stevens would love to see him win today. He's on board. Almost post time for the ancient title. Kona Gold leading the post parade here. Still have a few more horses to size up. We'll return to the Oaktree meeting at Santa Anita in just a flash.
The road to the World Thoroughbred Championships. Powered by Dodge.
Back at the Oaktree meeting in Santa Anita, and the horses are on the track for the 19th running of the ancient title. And right there is Avanzado. Look for Avanzado to provide the early speed, maybe a little bit more. His owners have made an impact on the Breeders' Cup Classic. They did that at the start of this new century. Churchill Downs, Breeders' Cup Classic 17. Jockey Chris McCarron aboard Rising Star, Tiz Now. A talented field that included Derby winner Fusaichi Pegasus and European sensation Giants Causeway.
Coming into the final furlong, Tisdale, Temple's Nail, Giants Causeway on the outside, Giants Causeway and Tisdale battling head-to-head, a heart-pounding, pulsating stretch drive, and Tisdale prevails.
Tisnow's endurance wins out in the first of his 2 classic victories for trainer Jay Robbins.